Jonathan gave us his 3 keys to success: separating the curious from the serious, what we call the separating the gold from the bronze or the brass, the kasi. And that's always the difficult part. I wanted to kind of reach out to Radhiji. You're always looking for the big investments into the country as the chief of the investment board. What do you look for when you're looking for in terms of separating the curious from the serious? I'm sure you get every big businessman coming to you and saying they would like to invest into Nepal. Some might not have the true intentions. How do you separate the serious from the curious?
Thank you very much, Alan. That's a good question. I think one of the things that we need to do is, first off, we have to prepare ourselves better. I mean, that's what we've been trying at the investment board. We have to see what the private sector is looking for. I'm just talking about the large-scale projects. And we'll have to see how we can turn that into the best interest of the country. So basically what you have is, an opportunity to get private investment. But at the same time, if you do your homework properly, when I say homework, I'm talking about, preparing very strong documents, making sure that the investment creates a lot of jobs, making sure that these investments will use supplies from Nepal, that is produced in Nepal, which would further create more jobs. Making sure that other projects are around this large-scale project, which is very intersectoral and which will have a lots of transformative impact. And finally, I think is you need to make sure that these guys are serious. And the way to do that is, basically, really questioning them a lot. And I believe in a process. In order to do this, I believe that you cannot just give a license to someone and think that the project is going to be done. Secondly, I believe that, most of these large-scale projects are Nepal's projects. So you have to really partner with the investor. You cannot say, okay, this is, for example, in our case, this is GMR's project or this is Satlej's. That's not true. These projects are going out to them for, say, 25 years or so. But then it's Nepal's project. So we need to help them getting the financial closure. We need to make sure that we have a good oversight mechanism. And we need to make sure that when they hand over the project to us, it is in a good operating condition.
Thank you, Radhiji. Partnerships between the investors, the private sector, and I think something that Jonathan also mentioned was very strongly partnerships. Partnerships among what he called 3 key stakeholders: the public, the private, and the non-profit. With UNICEF, I think, Amjad, you really work with partnerships. Wanted to learn, saying, how do you separate the curious from the serious within this multi-stakeholder partnership model?
I mean, that's a good question, but it's just like to talk about partnership, why it's important. Just like, let me throw this story, like I heard it, I shared it with you, Alan, sir. Like a person came and saw 3 people. The first one is digging a hole. The second person get back the sand on the hole. The third person give it water. And it didn't add up. He asked them, what are you doing? And then they said, oh no, you don't understand. They was supposed to be the 4th person to come to put the plant, and he didn't show up. So that's what we have seen. Like in development sector, you need to get all the right people on board, the right partnership to get the work done. To me, honestly, like I connect with certain people. Like I like to see the level of energy. Like, of course, we need to do like diligence when it comes to our due process, to whom we should partner. But it's also like it comes down also to certain individuals, like what the first meeting, Alan, when you joined us, we were discussing about future work. It's just you see the energy, the right environment that you really need to get it through. And it's again like we need to insist that if we want to do the old way, focusing like the traditional way in development sector to focus on failure. Like we ask, for instance, I give this example, we ask why a girl in a community from certain background didn't go to school. this is perfectly fine. But what we're trying to do with the new partnership is to ask why a girl from the same community goes to school. So we're focusing on the positive side. And this is, it's a mind shift. It's not just playing with words. And this is, we need the right partners that they are positive. They think out of the box to try to new ways of doing things. It's not the play of words, just like it gives you a new dimension of, like a new dimension of how you can do things in a better way. We really need to admit that we've been in the business of development, not I mean the whole, like governments, NGOs, INGOs, for the last 50, like since 1950s. If we take this example, like in 1950s, if we compare it with today, the global GDP is 10 times more in real time, if you include inflation. Today is 10 times more than 1950, 10 times. If we even look at it in per capita, it's still more than double. Yet globally, we still have about 1 billion people, they suffer hunger. So we didn't solve it. There is something wrong, and this is where innovation. We need to reach out in new partnership to try to solve things differently.
Thank you, Amsat. But at the same time, I think we all agree that the government does play an important role. We look at how policies are always a hindrance factor, and we look at a long-term plan for the government to act. So I'd like to ask Dr. Adhikari, saying, what do you look for during your policy issues? How do you separate the curious from the serious in the policy issues? I'm sure the pressing needs of the country are so many. Every area needs attention. But how do you come, and within that policy, we all always talk about partnerships. How do you also ensure innovation, partnerships, so that the country is prosperous in the overall policy of the country?
Thanks, Alan, panelists, and all the participants. First of all, I like to give thanks for organizing these events, searching the opportunity of investment, innovations. So regarding the policy issue, working with the private sectors, working with the technology to do more on innovations. Presently, I like to go, initially announcer told that the main theme of this discussion is discuss about the potentialities of the investment in Nepal, entrepreneurship of Nepal, innovation in Nepal. All these things are interrelated. But one thing that is now in people's mind, there is first hen or first egg. We have less infrastructure, so we are lacking the investment as well as the investment and innovations. And some people say, if we have the all infrastructures, there will be heavy investment. Some people say that if the heavy investment, then infrastructure will be built, then massively the investment will go through the part of the countries, different sectors. This is one of the mixing situations and complicated transitional issues. But one thing is definite, that to make the environment of investment, first of all, policy should be friendly for the investment. Second one is the infrastructures and resources. regarding the policy of the government, in view of the government, private sector is the main driver of the economy. So, government is ready to work with the private sectors. But private sectors also have some limitations in our countries. Number one, skill innovation, level of innovations. Number two, other financial and technical capacity, as well as the behavior. Behavior is also one of the issue that creates the entrepreneurship and encourages to bear some risk. Without risk, no project can be performed. In our country, politicians are also hesitating to take risk. Likewise, the private sector is also hesitating to take risk. Similarly, government, bureaucrats and technocrats are also hesitating to take risk. So this is the time of breakthrough. We must take risk to achieve something by good intention. And government is freely and very frankly inviting the private sectors. Let us investment, first of all, in given environment, and then upgraded environment after the policy reform, political stability, and infrastructural improvement. So, this time, first we have to invest in infrastructure, just like Radesh ji, CEO of the Nepal Investment Board, told that if we able to construct major infrastructure, basically physical infrastructure and energy sector, that will create the big door to investment in different sector, social sector.
Thank you, sir.
Agriculture
so basically,
sector, etc. Thank
the
you.
large investments in infrastructure. So I wanted to go to our last panelist, Biren sir. We've seen this huge investment of the government in the IT park, and you're in this role of being able to create innovation within the IT park in the tech field. The infrastructure has been there. The implementation part of the government, and you're in a seat where the government needs to implement. And I think the missing link for us citizens has always been to look upon the government for successful implementation. What's missing here?
Thank you, Mr. Allen, panelists, and all participants sitting with us. This is a very nice questions and the burning issues about the IT park, where we will have any IT like seminar or workshop. Everywhere this question will be asked. The IT park has been constructed about 12 years, 13 years before, but still it is not operated. For that one, for this one, that is, here we are talking about the policy that is lacking, the legal documents, how to operate, that is operational directives or any legal arrangements. With the help of that, IT park can be operated. It's not available. So for this one, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and including DUIT, some drafted like IT park management and operational like directives, how to operate with the, there will be like the three entities. One is the government, another is academia group, and the third is the private sector. So we are talking here the partnership. So IT park cannot be operated only with the government. We have the three like pillars. Government has to facilitate, and the academia group has to manage like the business incubation. Just here we are talking innovative ideas and finishing a school and research and development. And the other group, that is the private sector, that they have to run the business there. So on this basis, draft is ready and that is submitted to the cabinet. If that will be approved, I think it will be operated. So I think there is no policy or legal arrangements. That's why the park was not operated.
Actually, sir, I didn't want to get into the IT park, but basically the issue that I wanted to raise was on the implementation side in a very overview manner. But that's fine. I think, thank you very much for your answer. Your second, Jonathan, your second key of success was hire slow, fire fast. I wanted to bring the cultural aspect. In Nepal, firing is near to impossible. And I think for us is, and especially, I think Tomo-san would agree with me, in Japan, I think culturally, lifetime employment. You never think of firing anyone. So these are cultural issues. And many times, I think the key to success in every country, the path to success might be different. So, Jonathan, I wanted to pick up on your brains to understand, saying, how do you bring in the cultural aspect with your three main key points?
That's actually a very a great point that you brought up, because though I grew up in the United States, but I was still, raised in the Chinese culture. And just like I think the same in Nepal, it's also not easy to just fire somebody. But the way I look at it is like this, the way I frame it. If you really care about this person, and you feel this person is not in the right position to grow, then you should let that person go. It's coming out of a place of caring, not because that you do not care, that's why you let the person go. Because the way I look at it is like this. The idea itself should be bigger than me, and the idea is definitely bigger than us. So for us to really bring the idea further, we need the right people. Because I do that to myself as well. If I feel that I'm not the right person for this project, I'm going to take myself out of it. Because I think it's unfair for me to hold everybody back just because we grew up together, just because we went to the same school. So it's, in a sense, it goes back to really the fundamental of the Eastern culture or the Asian culture is being selfless. Thinking about the community is more important than our individual perspective. So in a sense, yes, the way I frame it, it sounds a bit harsh, but if you put it into context, it's about making sure we support each other, that we grow bigger than what we can ever imagine. Which means you probably have to let somebody go, or you have a conversation so then the person understands that that position might not be the right one.
No, I like it very much. Along the same lines, one of the things that I do is basically, I believe that whenever you get up in the morning, you have to be excited about going to work. If you're not excited, you have to change your job. So basically, if people are not happy at work, they're definitely not happy at home, right? So one of the things I do with my staff is, I ask them, please tell me, are you happy or not? Because if you're not happy, I will go out of my way to try to get you a job that'll make you happy. Because at the end of the day, I think, we all live a life. And if we're not having a great time, going to work, if you're not having a great time at home, then we're not really living. So I really like that point. I think we have to be careful when we hire people. For me, I've been very fortunate for that matter, because I have people from the government also, but I have a lot of consultants right now. so to speak, who are so excited, I mean, it excites me. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is, of course, I work out and all, but I just want to go to work. And I think that's what needs to happen with everyone. I mean, we need to love our job. If we're not happy somewhere, I think it's time to leave.
Just wanted to also let everyone know that if you have any inputs or things like that, just let us know. Maybe you can stand up or come to the aisle and a mic will come to you. And we'd like to make this more conversational rather than a Q&A session. And would like to continue with the discussion. Culture. We've seen China have imitated manufacturing. We've seen India being the back office for the world. And yet we've not seen, and we've seen the Korea model where Samsung becomes, all of a sudden, because of the innovation that they have, they've become a household name today. They've outsmarted a lot of American as well as Japanese companies. What is the key to innovation, Jonathan? What drives innovation? Is it culture? Is it art? Is it science? Is it engineering? Is it education? I'm sure you'll say a mix of all of this. But beyond that, I mean, what drives innovation? What is that policy, the implementation within the government, the huge investments? What is it required, the multi-stakeholder partnership? And of course, all of this, but your key saying, what is it that really drives innovation in a culture?
I think from my time traveling around and then seeing different people and interacting with a number of cultures or different countries and structures, the key one, my personal opinion, is that if we can make the culture of failure and we take the stigma out of it, that it's okay to fail, that it's okay that your company or your idea doesn't go anywhere, that it's not going to go against you, and that does not define who you are or what you can be. I think that will drive innovation, because a lot of time, from my experience, people don't innovate or people don't want to think about new things. It's coming because out of the fear. Fear being judged, fear being, well, what happened now if my idea doesn't go anywhere? Maybe that will go against me. So I think that really the idea of innovation is pushing the boundaries and understanding as well, not every idea is going to be successful, and being content with failure. And also the society itself, the system should be not necessarily celebrate failure to that extent, but to make it less punitive. So that's all my insight.
Can I reflect on this? Alan, you raise a very important point. I think it's timely to discuss why India and China and other countries, they moved forward, and why Nepal, we're still behind. I'll give my 2 cents on it. Like, I'll share some numbers. Like, if we look at average Nepali, the age, like, it's about 21, 22. 50% of Nepalis are less than 22 years old. Let's go back to 1992, 1993. When half of the population was not there. At that time, China was 4% of the global GDP. India, 3%. And let's take the G20, the largest 20 economies in the world. They were about 60% of the global economy. The emerging economies were 40%, so 60 to 40. Nowadays, if you look today at the most recent data, there is a huge convergence. The economies of the best, the 20 economies, they moved down to about 46%. And then you have the other economies from 20 to 36%. This is a huge convergence. If we look what it happened, is there is no West and the rest. It's over. Like in the past, we go to university in a developing country, you study different curriculum than the one if you go to the West. Nowadays, it's over. Like I met, let's say, Darpan. Like he went to school here and he come up with the best technology. Like this is amazing. Like I lived in 15 countries, including Switzerland, Netherlands, USA, Canada. I've never seen talent like here. So whatever we study here, it's the same thing in the West. We really need to translate this into economic growth. We don't want to miss on this unique opportunity. The technological gap, bringing all countries, there is no West and rest. We really need to move it quickly. And no time. China now 16%. From 4% 1992, when 50% of the population were born, 4 to 16%. Nepal can do it. Now it's the demography is to our side. All we need to do is to hit on the productivity, and productivity is education. We really need to give the right education, technology. The country will shoot up quickly.
Dr. Adhikari, I think you need to, you kind of excuse himself. He needs to leave at 4:30. So we've still got 15, 20 minutes. And if you'd like to give your take on what is this cultural aspect to innovation, and especially from the policy side, how would you help foster innovation in the country?
In my opinion, that innovation is the mix of science, art, and human behavior. Human behavior is made up by the culture as well. And very anciently, Nepal, there was lot of innovations in Nepal. So, in regarding the means of development, financial resources, physical resources, and human resources. Human resources should be in top. And in the context of Nepal, people are very laborious, very sincere. Only we need the environment of the innovations, and we should encourage them. Because of youth who have gone outside, abroad, outside from Nepal, they have done and best in the international institutions, universities, and production centers. So I think, in my idea, innovation is directly linked with the human behavior and culture. So regarding the policy matter, numbers of policy analysts or educationists are also prominent persons I am looking here. And to use the human resources in top, putting human resources in top, government is this time developing innovation, affiliating the innovation part with the other activities of the government. And UNPC, National Planning Commission, has put the innovation part as a policy matter and given the guidelines to put some part of portion of the budgets in their programs for the innovations, not only policy research, in grassroots level innovations, product innovations, product research, and technology research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Radheshji, what's your take on ensuring that the cultural aspect, especially you get a lot of multinational companies coming in for investments in the largest projects in the country?
No, the cultural aspect is also very important. But first, let me make a comment on policies and innovations. I really think, rather than policies driving innovation, I think innovations should drive policies. Because by the time policies come, the innovations would be too late. So that's one of the things. What we also try to do at Investment Board is, okay, fine. There are policies which will not allow us to do this. There's an act that does not allow us to do that. But let's see what can really, what is to be done. That comes about only after negotiating with the people who are doing the project, But if we're going to say, you know what, I'm sorry, we cannot do it because of this policy, then we will get no investments in this country. Our attitude should be, okay, what policy changes do we need to make for these projects, for these innovations to happen? So I think that is very, very critical, and I think we should definitely practice doing that, because at the end of the day, policies are made by all of us. I mean, we elect people, they go to parliament. At the end of the day, the laws are made by us. If someone tells me that, laws cannot be changed, policies cannot be changed, then, it's almost like, then let's not do anything. Let's just, we'll be where we are for the rest of our lives.
Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause and thank him for being here with us. Right, that brings me to the last point that Jonathan was saying. Dream the impossible. And dream the impossible so that even the policy can be changed. Dream the impossible so that we can change the constitution for the better of our citizens. Dream the impossible, that everything that we've been doing, and before that impossibility becomes a nightmare for us. Beautifully said. So how do we look at that dreaming, that impossible dream? I'm sure in your seat with the organization that you're heading, you're always looking for the biggest impossible dreams.
Yeah, I think the most important aspect is, you have to be focused. You have to really focus on where you want to get. I mean, it sounds kind of, philosophical, but there are, so many times when you lose your patience, when you're frustrated, when you would like to, blame it on someone else, when you'd like to say, you know what, I could have done it because, that didn't happen, this didn't happen. But I think if you take on all that responsibility, if you are true and if you really work hard, if you focus, if you have a great team, if you, have good people, I really think nothing, I don't think everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. But you have to really be true to yourself. It cannot just be to get your name published in signing an MOU and getting it published. At the end of the day, okay, we signed 2 PDAs. To be very honest with you, we haven't even done 2% of the job. The job is done when those projects happen, when the construction begins, when people start getting jobs, when people start realizing, because that these projects would change their lives. Because the major problem that we have right now is lack of trust and confidence between the bureaucrats, between the political parties, between the private sector, between everyone, between you, between me, everyone. So I think for Nepal to move forward, we need to make these projects happen. And if 1 or 2 of these projects happen, changing the law, changing the policies, these are all secondary issues.
Thank you. I think we've got a few minutes. Nimeshji, can we get a mic to Nimeshji here? Coming from MIT and doing a lot of innovation labs in Lamzung and in lots of areas. What's your take?
To sort of include a bit of a context to this, the question. A few days ago, I was in India at an event hosted by the president, and we invited a small group of rural entrepreneurs. Among them were 2 people I remember. One was 72 who was from, and he has no formal training, but he's come up with this improved variety of mustard through natural hybridization that gives 45% more yield. And the other, I remember, a group of 2 young kids would sort of tinker around with jet print, which is obsolete now, to create a very low-cost Braille printer. Now, a typical Braille printer in the global market costs about $1,200. And their solution, their product cost around 15,000 IC, which is a lot less than what's readily available in the market. Point is that this kind of rural innovation is not very unique to India. In Nepal, 2 weeks ago, I was in Palpa, where I met Nara and Shrestha, who had come with own ginger process. And I know a typical ginger processor costs around 5-6 lakhs. His simple sort of solution costs 1,500 rupees. Now my question is, 84%, if I'm not wrong, of Nepal is rural. And so I feel like a lot of conversation around innovation and entrepreneurship and promoting innovation and entrepreneurship sort of centers around urban centers. And my question is, are we doing enough to cater to that 84% of Nepal's population? And are we doing enough to sort of capture the sort of the talent, energy of rural innovators, and to not just bring the national market, but also take in mainstream the process of rural innovation, reverse innovation, if you will. And my question is to Amjad and to friends from the public sector. Thank you.
Amjad, you're in the hot seat.
Well, as if it's the who wants to win the millionaire, so I'll call a friend. But my quick answer, I think there is also like, let's be honest also, like I'll be honest. I mean, I'll say what I believe in. There is also like everyone in Kathmandu almost everyone comes from somewhere else. There is the kind of also like cities, global, I'm not speaking on the specificity of Nepal. There is something about cities. It attracts people that they are risk taker, they want to adventure, they went beyond their community, they want to see the city. There is a selection in cities. So this is a factor. We would not have 84% of all innovators come from rural area. I would doubt it. But having said that, because of in statistics, the law of large number, you have 84%, which is like, if your number is correct, let's say 20 million of Nepalis. So you must have bright minds. We really need to do. We've not been, I think I can say on behalf of many people, we've not been very good in reaching out to remote villages and communities. And the challenge, if I was in Humla, and you ask people, how did you come? They will tell you it takes me 3 days to reach to the Simikot, the city. So they measure distance of, like, it's very harsh condition. If they survived, they must have developed skills and like out of the box thinking to develop skills to survive that communities. I think we've not done enough, I think. But it's the same time, it's to balance it to say also like there is selection in cities.
Thank you, Amjad. And Radhisi, you want to?
Sure, I think, again, as innovation at that level, I mean, how do we really turn it around and make it, to the extent it can be commercial, people can get benefit out of that. I think, first of all, I mean, I'd like to say it's not just the public sector. I mean, see, one of the things which I think we cannot do is just rely on the public sector, because we've been talking about this for the last 20, 30 years, I mean, anything, okay, because the government doesn't do this for us. I mean, if the government did it, then we'd be somewhere else by now. So I think one of the things that we need to do is, okay, maybe this could be an innovation, There could be entrepreneurs themselves who see these values and would try to make, benefit out of that. They would take it to the market. They would take, I guess that's all I have to say, really.
Someone else's problem is someone else's opportunity. Yes, ma'am. You had a question. I think Mike will come to you.
Hi, my name is Shraddha, and I have a question for Jonathan.
All right.
You mentioned that innovation happens when failure is not stigmatized. But if a company has a policy of fire fast, then will that not be interpreted as punishing failure, or would that not discourage employees from taking risk?
Good question, and I'm glad that you put that into context, because I think I need to be clear. You don't fire somebody just because they fail on a project, right? You let the person go because the person cannot be part of your vision, that cannot help you further into what you want to do to achieve, to go where you want to go. So in a sense, we do have to make a clear distinction between letting somebody go because it doesn't fit with the culture of what you want to have versus because the person took risks and then did something innovative for your company and then it didn't work out somehow and then he's being let go. Because then you're not being authentic in your culture of, okay, let me pull back a little bit. Many companies, they will say this, right? Just companies or just institutions, they'll say, we're like a startup. We have an open door policy, we're very entrepreneurial, we're very innovative, everybody thinks outside the box here. And then you start seeing somebody getting fired because they think differently, somebody being let go because they took risk. Then that is, I think, is a fake freedom kind of thing, right? It's an illusion. That is not being true to the core of the culture. So then that is something, it actually speaks more to the management culture or the founder's culture more so than the person. If I'm being fired out of a company, let's say, because I'm being creative and anything else bizarre, I don't take it personally. I don't see that, oh, something wrong with me. No, I think it's your loss. Because now I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to show you that what you're missing is a talent like myself. So in a sense, I don't take that personally. I would see it as the company itself is not for me. I hope that answers your questions. Yeah.
Ma'am, can you hold on for the mic? Thank you.
I just wanted to bring it up because a lot of startups are doing it first time.
Yes.
And they hear this advice from you, your experience, you've done startups before, had companies before, and they hear, oh, fire fast, and that may mean a certain thing, both to the founders and also to the people who work there. So I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for bringing that up so then I can put it into context.
Yes, so can we have a mic there? While the mic is traveling there, Jonathan, I just wanted you to put your answers together. Can innovation be taught? Okay. Can it be learned? Okay. Or does it come with, hold on, we'll take that question for you to think about this.
Namaste. Whenever we talk about entrepreneurship in Nepal, regardless the private sector or the government sector, every time we talk about investment. Investment creates entrepreneurship, we think, here in Nepal. But I would like to ask you, Mr. John, how do you evaluate the role of investment in entrepreneurship? Would you like to reply my answer at first? And next one is, what is more important for innovation, either investment or entrepreneurship?
Can somebody repeat that? Sorry, I couldn't.
Krishna, can you please rephrase the question? Clearly.
Will you please tell us the role of investment in entrepreneurship?
So basically, I think you did bring this up, but basically was how much of investment plays in fostering entrepreneurship, in fostering innovation.
Investment from the private sector, or what kind of investment are we talking about?
The attraction of investment.
Okay.
Attraction of investment for the innovator. If I heard the question correctly, how important is cash for innovation?
I mean, cash is very important, right? I mean, it gives you, you can hire the best talent out there. You can spend more capital on R&D, research and development, and you can grow beyond your market, home market. There are many ways that you can spend the money. But as I said earlier, you also have to be careful what kind of money that you attract. Because if the money, sometimes money doesn't always come, well, most of the time money comes with strings attached. You just make sure that it's the right strings and attached to the right thing. Because if not, it will actually impede your growth. If I give you money, I get a share of your company, but I don't really believe in your vision, and then now I sit on the board. I have a lot of power. I'll switch around, and by the end of, I don't know, maybe 2 years, you'll no longer even be part of your own company. Because if I have a lot of power and I sit on the board and I bring other people, other investors, I can replace the founder. That's happened. So in a sense, again, it goes back to, it is important, but you just need to make sure that it's from the right source and doing the right way as well. And you also need to be clear on where you want to go with this money. Because oftentimes, I was, sometimes when people come and ask for investments, they're not really clear even where they want to go, how they're going to spend the money. Well, what kind of investors that want to give you money unless you tell them exactly, well, not exactly, but roughly where you want to go, has a clear vision. Does that answer your questions?
Right, thank you. We'll come to the education question. Okay. Any other, yes. So we've got 2 other questions.
Thank you. My name is Suresh. Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg went on to become a billionaire in their mid-20s. I can find such example in India or the other countries. Because we are talking about the innovations. And in Nepal, a youth, the innovation he can go for and that is crossed in very first stage due to the long bureaucratic process. So I would like to know from Radheshwar, how in this situation you want to encourage the youth where the government is so unpredictable that they keep on changing the law now and then. So they're not rigid with once they make the policy, they stick to that. So how you'd like to innovate the youth? Thank you.
As it was mentioned.
Sorry, can we take the second question so that we can think about it and it'll save us time? So, sorry about that.
My question?
Yes.
Namaste. I want to connect from the beginning. Sir told most of the graduates, they are moving out day by day. And social issues and cultural issues are also discussed. But one part, what is the role of government policy on this regard? And I want to correlate with Jonathan sir also. He told we have to encourage people to take risks, dream for impossibility, and like this. So in my opinion, government role is also important, because if we think 100 people are thinking for innovation, how many of them will succeed? Maybe 10 or 20? What about the remaining people? 80% people fail. So if government supports them, those who fail, who try to do better, but they fail, if we people feel if government is there to support, then only people try to take the risk. Otherwise, why they take risk? In Nepalese context, I am talking. And second thing, what is the role of people? Normally, people, our society, our community people, how they feel, how they see those failure people. So ultimately, if we talk, if government supports, then people try to take risk, and the innovation, new ideas will come. So I want to discuss. I want to request Alan sir and our special guest sir to highlight on the government's role, so that people can take risks for the new ideas. Thank you.
Radheshwar, I think you can sum up both these questions.
Yeah. I think both the questions direct to the same, I wouldn't say issue, but the question. First of all, what is the government's role? Well, the government's role is to facilitate. And like I said before, is the facilitation being done well? Probably not. There's a lot of improvement that the government needs to make. The lot of changes that the government has to bring about. And I think the delivery mechanism, the way that the government works, delivers services, that has to drastically change. But now, can we wait for all that? Can entrepreneurs, can innovators wait for all that? I really think not. I think with the current global scenario, whereby it's not only Nepal, whatever you can do in Nepal probably can be, can have impact outside of the country. Because innovation can, it doesn't have any boundaries actually. So, again, I would urge that in order to make changes, I don't think innovators are just going to wait for the government to make changes, to get all the support. Yes, if we were a developed country, if we had all the things in place, then the situation would be different. Government's role would be clear, and the facilitation, the people, the innovators or entrepreneurs would get the facilitation that they deserve. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. So my view is that, the way the government is, you have to see how you can innovate with the current situation. You cannot expect the government to change because it is not going to change overnight. If you're waiting for the government to change, then you're talking about, by the time you innovate, you're going to be old. There's no time. So that's really my take on this.
Thank you. Biren sir, you seem to be the other person representing the government on the dais today. So what's your take on the government's portion for some of the questions that were raised up or the issues that were raised up?
I think actually we are talking about the innovation. So innovation, how could it be supported by the government, and how is supporting by the government now? For this one, actually this is the entrepreneurs and innovation, the two things. Innovation, actually innovative ideas. So there should be some sort of like a mechanism to select all the best idea that could be applicable by the entrepreneurs. And this is, I think, industry, IT industry policy that is not in place now. But the Ministry of Industry and Department of Industry, they are doing some sort of the business incubation program. And the same way the Department of IT under the Ministry of Science is going to organize this sort of event. And but actually the government initiation is, I am also not sure that this is in the right track. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan, before we move on to the last bit about whether innovation can be taught, can it be learned, or is it something that's ingrained? And especially in a country where caste system is high, we feel only certain castes can innovate and the rest of the castes don't have it in the blood. You have to be born into certain families to be entrepreneurs, to be innovators. I also wanted to ask you to bring into the context of social enterprise versus business, profit versus impact, and finally, small versus large. Your take on this?
So to answer, short answer to your first question, can innovation be taught? Yes. That's why we're in the business of educating young people. That's why I, as part of my role being the center director, I also an adjunct faculty member at SMU. And then in the fall, I'm actually going to teach a course called Starting a Social Enterprise. So I'm not going to teach that course if I don't believe that I can actually teach students on how to become an entrepreneur or social entrepreneurs. I think it's always in the sort of the inside our spirit to be entrepreneurial, because to live itself you need to think about being an entrepreneur means you have to get resources. Every day our life is not easy. It doesn't matter where you are. Life itself, being alive, is already risky. I said that yesterday. So being an entrepreneur, it's just a matter of how to be in the right mindset, and it can be taught. And that's why there are many business schools or many other schools, education system that promote social entrepreneurship, promote entrepreneurship. So I'm a strong believer in that. Now, to relate it to your second and third point about social entrepreneurship versus business, profit versus impact, small versus big, I think we should be able to have it all. Meaning, it shouldn't be a matter of if I'm doing something good for the society, that means I cannot provide for my family. I think it's a choice if you want to make your idea nonprofit, but it's also okay to make it into a for-profit social enterprise. Now, a lot of businesses are also funneling their money either through CSR or a nonprofit arm of the corporation and trying to create a sustainable change in the community. And actually, this relates to the last sort of versus big versus small. When you're a bigger company, you can make huge impact. For example, if Microsoft, right? I mean, when you provide something, when you create programs, you are affecting tens of thousands of people. That is the type of impact that really it's amazing in the scale, but also it shows that when big companies, big corporations are joining the movement of being more socially responsible and supporting entrepreneurship and supporting social entrepreneurship and being involved in the education system, it does wonder. I strongly believe that. And that doesn't mean that the small companies cannot compete or cannot make an impact. I think impact is on a very individual basis because each of us can make an impact. And I believe that when we work together, the impact is even bigger.
Thank you. I think finally, to close off the panel, if we can take the mic around, and your last closing remarks on the day, and if there's anything that you need to bring up, this would be a moment for you.
Okay. Thank you for organizing committee that we are sharing experiences and knowledge with the national experts as well as with the international expert, and we learn about the why do we need innovation for country development and prosperity. And on this basis, like also we know like every sector, the participation that is needed to carry the innovation. So this is the best event that is organized by the MIC. So I would like to give thanks. Thanks.
Amjad.
Just a quick one. I think, like to me, innovation it means imagination. Like they are just the same to me. And I would like to end by quotation from Einstein: "The best mind to me, like the history of mankind we've seen." He was saying, logic takes you from A to B, and he's a person of logic. He said, logic takes you from A to B, but imagination takes you everywhere.
Jonathan.
I think my message for the young people and sort of the entrepreneurs in the audience is keep pushing the envelope. And I want you guys to know that the world is rooting for you, that your future is so bright, you need sunglasses to look at it.
Thank you.
I'd just like to mention that, because we have such younger crowd, in order to develop Nepal, you guys need to innovate, and you guys need to change it. Thank you.
Thank you. So shall we give them a round of applause for a lot of knowledge today?